Good evening. Andrew Zufelt. This is ADC515 Mod 10 Discussion 1. First of all, this is going to have to be in parts because my phone only records to 4 minutes per section. So you'll see me kind of cut off and restart. And I apologize ahead of time if you hear any major meowing or dog barking or anything, because there's cats and dogs all over the place. So, and they are not willing to understand that I need quiet. So, anywho, book discussion. My book that I chose was The Unbroken Brain by Maia Szalavitz. And the reason that I chose it is mainly as I was like looking for books and trying to figure out what it was, that I wanted to utilize with this, because I've got plenty of these books around, but, I wanted something different. I wanted something that was really maybe gonna kind of take a nice, interesting route and look at addiction. And the reason that I chose it is, you'll see at the top it says, a revolutionary new way of understanding addiction. And, of course, that word revolutionary always ends up being something that piques the interest, if you will. Maia Szalavitz, first and foremost, is a journalist, is a researcher of addiction, but she's also a recovering addict. She had a heroin and cocaine addiction and had tried many times to get clean on methadone, but she would either just take the methadone to stay away from getting dope sick, and if she couldn't get the heroin in time, or various reasons and that sort of thing. She ended up hitting her basic rock bottom when one day they were out of heroin, and she did not have any methadone. She did not have any way of getting heroin or methadone. She didn't have any money, and she was starting to feel dope sick, and she needed to get that feeling on the road. And a friend of her boyfriend's, who was also an addict, had some heroin, and she did not like this individual. She despised this individual. She didn't even generally like being in the same room as him, but she contemplated very strongly of offering him sex for the drugs. And it was at that point that she kind of started to look at herself as someone who is an actual addict. Prior to that, she did not see herself as somebody who had a major addiction problem. She had it under control. She had a plan. She had the heroin. She had the methadone. She knew she was going to have trouble getting the heroin as frequently to keep from getting dope sick, and she knew how to stay clean enough to get the methadone, and everything else. She had been through all of that a few times going through the methadone program before, but at this point she was in a bind, and she was going to need these drugs, and this guy had these drugs, and she wanted, she was contemplating the lowest possible thing. That's something that she had always told herself she would never do, which was offer herself up for drugs. And so at that point, that indicated it was her time, that she needed to really kind of look at getting herself better.